What SeaWorld was looking for was they were going to build this massive 360-degree screen. So, and it ended up being LED, but that's not how it started. We'll get into that in a minute. And they wanted to have about 110 minutes of material created for it, of giant, video material for this. So that included 8 to 9 of the what they call these 10-minute ambients, which are basically playing in a loop throughout the day. And it's kind of ambience that you can feel like you're underwater or in certain areas around the world. And they would kind of cycle through the day and run. And then there was a 12 to 14-minute scripted, spectacular, immersive movie that would show twice per day. And that was something that, again, would take place in the full screen, but have only 2 performances a day. So obviously SeaWorld, most of the stuff that was going to be shot was going to be underwater. And so, okay, how do we acquire material for that amount of material, that amount of time underwater? Camera rig and design. So the first thing we had to do once we were awarded this project, and I actually honestly was secretly hoping we weren't because it scared the hell out of me. But we were awarded the project. So the first thing we had to do was figure out a way of getting a camera system built to record this both topside and underwater. And the goal is we wanted to end up with somewhere around 25K horizontal resolution for this with the stitched images. So the first thing we needed to do is figure out how do we build a camera rig that ends up with 25K. And I ended up building a FileMaker Pro solution to kind of do those calculations. And so we had 2 rigs that we're going to build, one underwater rig and one topside rig as well. So here's the iteration of the rig. You can see the camera platform with the 9 cameras on it. You see the storage in the middle. Production. Again, this was a challenge. So this kind of shows some pictures of early production. We traveled light. We freaked people out the airline carriages. We had, I think it was around 17 cases weighing about 2,000 pounds of gear. That didn't include our own luggage. That was just the production luggage. By the way, we had 2 of everything except for the DIT kit, but we had 2 of every camera, 2 full systems, 2 full radial systems. We had 2 full sets of cameras of both systems. So everything was redundant.
So when I pick up, it's going to try to tilt. You guys got to really, I want to pick up fast. Ready?
Tim?
We were on this shoot for 14 days. And so these cameras were going up at least twice a day.
And so we started to build a spreadsheet that went through everything that needed to be composited, rotoscoped, blended in the One Epic Ocean Spectacular. And this was me going through painstakingly, once we kind of nailed down what the offline cut was going to be, taking JP's cut and categorizing every back plate, every foreground plate, everything that had to be rotoscoped, sent out for rotoscoping. Some of it we did in-house. But you're going to see in the Spectacular, there's a scene where a woman dives. And then we open up this kind of light ray around her. And then you'll see there are dugongs swimming alongside her. This is all rotoscoping here. But it was typical in these scenes to have 60 to 200 tracks in After Effects. SeaWorld wanted to, and I get why they wanted to do it, they wanted things happening all over the environment. However, that presents a problem when you have an area of focus that you want people to concentrate on. And in this case, it's the woman with the boat. A lot of people would miss certain bits of action because it was happening in one portion of this massive screen and they were looking the other way. So this was a constant issue as to how do you direct people to the right part of the screen. But this gives you an idea. Look at the size of that in-venue compared to the strip that we had to work with. So it's just, I mean, Terry, what would that be? That's 50 feet high, but what, maybe 50 feet across?
Yeah, probably. And again, we didn't really have any large displays. I mean, there were a couple, but we were using like 28-inch computer displays to look at the stuff on. So it's not like we had like a 100-inch, display in our edit suites.
There were many things that we thought we'd solved, and then once we got it in that venue, we realized we were only beginning to see the nightmares. Every single one of these bioluminescence shots had to be composited, either rotoscoped or blended into this backplate. There is a backplate there. There is particulate matter that's moving. You can see behind these elements. But any tiny flaw in a mat or an edge just showed up like a school bus in that venue.
But let me just show you this. This is what Lightsail built, this little clip to show you what the reason why we had these convergence issues and what it took to fix them. So you can see that you can fix something in the foreground, but each distance, and that rig basically had plus or minus 2 feet, was 2 pixels off. Color correction was also a challenge because normally you could actually light underwater, but in this case we couldn't. So these are just some before and after pictures. There's the original image on the top, and then the bottom is the graded image. It's just so you can kind of see what it took to pull color out. Eventually, I came up with this concept, and I used it here of actually stealing some of the green. So these are just some stills of some of the graded shots in the show, and obviously there are the strips. These are actually stills from Resolve. So when I graded it, these are my grade stills. But the images are jaw-dropping, and that's pretty much the end. The images are jaw-dropping. The sound is amazing. I would do it completely differently. So now if I had to design a camera, I would use